Preparation, the on-premise Edge Transport Server. By the time you're done here, you will understand the role of the Edge Transport Server in Office 365 integrations. When you purchase a car, you're actually purchasing a whole bunch of parts that perform different functions that together move you from point A to point B. The radiator cools the car down, transmission shifts the gear, the engine supplies the power, and so on. Same thing with Exchange functions. There are different roles in an on-premise deployment that have to be filled. A CAS server is what interfaces with the client itself. That's why it's called Client Access Services. Whereas a hub transport server handles all of the mail flow inside of your organization. It looks at the incoming emails, figures out where they go, applies any policies, and sends them on their way. A lot of times, that mail will go in the direction of a mailbox server. That's the server that actually holds the database containing all the email of your users. In really small organizations, sometimes the hub transport server also interfaces with the internet. And in really small organizations, you might have an all-in-one mail server. That's one Exchange server that handles the role of CAS, hub transport, mailbox server, all in one box. And that works as long as you have a small amount of mailboxes, because eventually that server not only gets overwhelmed handling all these functions, but it also becomes a major security vulnerability. You're exposing your entire Exchange system directly to the internet. And that's why Microsoft introduced the idea of an Edge Transport Server. In many ways, the Edge Transport Server acts kind of like a DMZ. If you're thinking in firewall terminology, this machine is completely removed from the domain, whereas all of these are domain joined, and acts as the interface to the internet to receive and send emails to and from the rest of the world. Now, if you think about it, Office 365 is awesome and all, but it really is a public cloud. It's a big Microsoft managed cloud connected to the internet that when you're handling a hybrid environment has to interface all the time with your internal servers. So because of that, Microsoft suggests that if you have an Exchange cluster of any size, you have some type of Edge Transport Server that can interface with Office 365. Allowing you to have mailboxes inside your organization and in Office 365 that can send email back and forth without directly exposing your Exchange cluster to the world. So without getting into gory details, this is what the VIA Exchange Private Cloud looks like. We have an Edge Transport Server that interfaces with a variety of Exchange servers, and these aren't the only ones that are there. Honestly, I don't even know their names anymore and what role they match to. I think we're up to EX13 because they just keep growing. Regardless, there is one thing that Microsoft makes absolutely clear, and that is that you have to have Exchange 2010 Service Pack 3 or later in order to allow your Exchange on-premise cluster to integrate with Office 365. So I'm going to open a PowerShell prompt on my management workstation and type in the command get Exchange server pipe format table name comma version. It'll just show me all the Exchange servers that are in our cluster by name and then show me what version of Exchange it's running. And right there, I already see a problem. ET01, which is our Exchange Edge Transport Server, is running Exchange 2010 Service Pack 2. That's the 14.2. You can figure that kind of stuff out just by Googling what version of Exchange am I running or something like that. If I scroll down, I see all of the build numbers for Exchange 2010, Service Pack 3, and you can see they're all 14.03, whereas Service Pack 2 is 14.02. Microsoft is painfully clear that you will blow your system up if you try to integrate it with Office 365 and you're not running Service Pack 3. Because the Edge Transport Server just does one thing and it does it well, we've just never really upgraded it to the latest Service Pack. Oh, I can feel you right now. Don't judge me. There's so many servers right here. We missed one. And I know some of you are eyeing that FSO2 going, well, you missed that one too. Well, yeah, that's our first Exchange server we ever built. It's just there for a keepsake. Anyway, why am I so defensive? I'm going to get this upgraded tonight because obviously I can't take things down during the day and come back once this thing's running Service Pack 3. Well, it's a new day. I installed Service Pack 3 on the Edge Transport Server last night and learned something new. I'm going to right-click and paste in the command to show the different versions of Exchange that are running. And you can see right there, ET01, our Edge Transport Server, is still running version 14.2. I did that patch last night and it did the command. I looked it up. I was like, what? Why is it not upgrading? Well, it's actually a known fact that the Edge Transport Server, because it's distinctly separate from the Active Directory domain, does not update any of its information after the initial relationship is formed between it and the rest of the Exchange cluster. The only way that you're going to get this thing to show the update is to disconnect ET01 from the Exchange cluster and reform that relationship, which if it's just going to update that version number, I don't really care about doing
that. But I did find another way that we can verify the version. I'm going to head over to ETO1 and type in the command git command ex setup and show me the file version info. This actually digs into the Exchange setup files itself, and that's where we can see the 14.03 version number to verify that we are indeed on Service Pack 3. Now you're probably wondering the same thing I am. Was it running Service Pack 3 the entire time? I'd like to think not, because that means I wasted my evening last night. The Service Pack 3 installation went as if it didn't have Service Pack 3, so I'm going to go with that. Upgrade successful. You now understand the role of the Edge Transport Server in Office 365 integrations. I hope this has been informative for you, and I'd like to thank you for viewing.